Hello and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. This video is for educational purposes only. There's no advice whatsoever intended during this. This is the 6th of June, and let's get started with Tesla this morning. Tesla got hammered last night after the massive dispute between Trump and Musk on Twitter and other places. And sell-off was massive and huge volume. Let's just add volume to it. You can see massive volume there going on. Almost 284 million shares that changed hands. So it dipped to support at 271.35, just above it. So really a sell-off, and it could continue here the coming days if funding is being pulled for EVs. Really bad news for Tesla, to say the least. It could slide back to the lows here around 215.12, where we have some stronger support. So that would be very interesting to watch the next few days. I think I deleted the RSI from, there we are. So if we're looking at the RSI on daily, it actually yesterday closed below 40 threshold, indicating negative sentiment. The sell-off in Tesla, of course, also weighed on the index, and here we have the Nasdaq 100 index that actually formed a bit of a top and reversal pattern here, bearish engulfing, taking out the previous day, but it was easy to take that out because it was just a small doji-like. It didn't take out the 3rd of June bullish market. However, we do have divergence here. As you can see, we have RSI values declining where market moved higher, so we actually have a trend exhaustion for now. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a setback the next few days. However, we do see here pre-market, here is the US Nasdaq 100. It is actually bouncing 0.7%. So it will be an interesting end to the week, I'm sure. If we are looking at the S&P 500, also formed a kind of a bearish engulfing, but again, it was a small candle the previous day. So what is more interesting is that we have actually quite a bit of divergence here. You can see the RSI values are declining where the market moved higher, indicating trend exhaustion. So maybe we'll have a little bit of a setback here in the next few days. But also here, the future is pointing to a higher open, about 0.5% higher at the moment. Dow Jones, not that much affected. Of course, it also sold off a little bit, but it's already in this range bound here we talked about for quite a few days now. In Asia session, not much has changed on the Hang Seng, still testing the peak here at 23,917. Didn't close above it, so struggling a little bit. Could form a little double top pattern here, but let's see if it does close above 23,917. Well, then there's still pushing up to the previous peak there. The Nikkei, not much to report, really just dancing sideways at the moment. So let's just move on to something more interesting. EuroStoxx50 tested yesterday very close to the minor resistance here at 5,436. There's still no divergence on the RSI, indicating higher levels. Moving averages are pushing higher. So if we get a close above this level there, then I think it also take out this little peak there and could test the all-time highs over here. Here pre-market, little bit positivity, but not much. DAX shot higher yesterday, but it's interesting to watch. Here we have the peak of that bearish engulfing here, 24,326. Market closed yesterday at 24,324, so just a few cents below, or a few euros below. So it didn't really cancel it. So I think we will see. Really need to keep an eye on what's going on. It's a little bit fragile, but it could have a higher move it actually broke above its falling trend here on the RSI, but there is divergence. You can see the values here are lower than here, indicating trend exhaustion, but it's on a knife's edge at the moment. So keep an eye on these levels there. What I will also do, I will add a trend line to our horizontal line here, 23,740. If it breaks below that, well, then we are looking at the support levels here around 23,338. Pre-market just a tad higher, so let's see where we end today. That will be really interesting. On the FX front, we have euro dollar crawling higher yesterday, spiked a little bit above the 786 retracement at 114 as 114.65. I think it will continue to crawl higher, but it will be a slow pace. Let's see here the next few days. Still above the rising trend line, so we are still in a bullish trend. For this scenario to change, a close below, and let's just add it there. Close below there, 112.10 is required. The sterling dollar spiked above its resistance here at just below 136 yesterday, actually shot above 136. It is a little bit of divergence, a little bit stressed, so if suddenly it moves back below 134.15, we could see a correction, but it still looks a little bit bullish here, but also a little bit choppy, so a little bit in the limbo. Euro sterling could be testing the resistance at 84.65 today, maybe even push up to the 38.2 retracement of this entire downtrend here at 85. So that'll be key to watch, I think, here the next few days, especially if it takes out that little corrective spike there at 84.55. I think it could we could see that scenario, but the 55 moving average will also offer some or add to the resistance level, so keep an eye on that. On the yen pairs, we have dollar yen bouncing. It's been trading sideways here for the past 4 days actually. It could still do that. All moving averages are declining, as we can see. However, since it couldn't break below 142, I think we'll see a bounce up to again the 61.8 retracement, 146.15, possibly testing that level. If it does close above 146.15, I think we will see another push up to 147.25, maybe even that, and maybe up to the stronger resistance at 148.65. So that is really something to watch. What I would do, I would also here, if it was me, I will add that and say, okay, if it takes out that little spike up there at 146.30, then there's a good chance it will push to 147.25. The euro yen, let's just adjust that. Euro yen very close to testing the 165 again, and if it takes it out, well, the spikes up there 165.25, then I think we'll see it up to around 166.5. Aussie yen, sorry, the 93.90 little minor resistance, I think it will be tested today. The 100 moving average though is giving a little bit of a hard time, but I think we could see it being tested and possibly taken out, and if it does, well, then we're looking at 95.75. So maybe what we can do also to give us a little bit of a guidance, at least at Fibonacci to this, and say, well, it's just below the 61.8 retracement. I think it could shoot up to the 786 and 94.80. However, if it takes out the 91.65 support, then we could see a test of the 90.60. Sterling yen in this range here, I think we could see another go at the 196.40, 196.40 and a half in this range here fairly shortly. We are in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence indicating we are likely to see high levels. All the moving averages are slightly pointing to turning around here and moving higher. Aussie dollar, well, testing this peak there, and 65.50 could be taken out. It's still positive sentiment. We can see the 55 moving average rising, the 100 rising. It's just still the 200 dragging it down or holding it down a little bit, so it's still a little bit of a struggle here. But what we can see, higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher lows, and possibly higher highs. It is a very fragile and not clear trend, but still you can see the lows are rising, so we should see a push higher. Dollar Canada pausing a little bit, formed the doji yesterday. Let's see where it is today. If we see a positive candle today, then I think we have a bottom reversal in place. Is there a bit of divergence on the RSI? It seems like it, maybe. Let's see, very close to. I think today will be the judge of that. Sterling Canada started the day with a little bit of a selling here. I still believe we could see it down to 184.20, possibly a little bit lower, testing the cloud area here a bit. So it failed to break above the peaks here, so I think we'll see a setback. Euro Swiss, well, still in this wide range here, testing the falling trend line and the cloud area, but still negative sentiment on the RSI. So it still needs to break either bearish out 92.90 down here, or I would say up here at 94.5. First indication of that is if it takes out 94.25, but when we have the cloud resistance and this resistance up here, so a little bit upside potential is fairly limited, it seems. Dollar Swiss dancing sideways, oscillating around the 81.85 support here, then was down, then it was above, then down, and now bouncing again. But for I think if it takes out the lows here at 81.55, then we will see a push down to around 80.40. But if it takes out and closes above 83.5 here, then I think we could see a push higher. And that, if that occurs, then I will do this and add a Fibonacci to it and say, okay, see we have the 61.8 also around that resistance level there. So keep an eye on that. The dollar index, well, more or less the same picture, hovering around the 98.68 here. So still in a bearish trend, but it seems to be in exhaustion mode a little bit. But let's see. If it takes out the lows for yesterday, I actually think we will see it, the lows here to be tested at 97.68, and there's no divergence on it. So, and we're still negative sentiment. I think we will see it slightly lower. Moving on to metals and gold. Yeah, it's just hovering around the 786 retracement here, up and down, without a clear direction. Spiked higher yesterday, and so okay, now it's on the move, but no, it wasn't. RSI still positive sentiment, but we needed to break back above 60 threshold for really, or close above, for a push higher towards the 3,500. But as long as we stay above 3,240, well, then we're still in a bullish trend. So so let's wait and see. Not much to say there other than that. Silver, on the other hand, really got its mojo back and pushed higher yesterday, continuing today, propelling past the 200 projection of this correction here. So where are we headed? Well, if we're looking at the weekly, and we need the guidance for that, then we also can see that it actually took out the resistance there. Let me just adjust that. There we are. It took out the resistance here just below 35.40, pushing above 36, and now it's the spike up there at 35.5, at around 35.5. It is not that strong, that resistance, that has to be said. So it really is on the move here. Positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels on silver. But do be aware, the volatility can be big, and we could suddenly see a massive correction before another possibly move. On the platinum, also really pushed higher, and it reached the 200% of this correction here, and then some. And if we're looking at the weekly here also, let me just zoom out so we can see what's going on. Hang on, there we are. Very close to the 1180.82 spike up there, back from 2022. Let's see what will happen there. Will it be rejected, or will it take it out and push towards 1300? On the energy side, well, the crude oil WTI here still dancing sideways. It's still 64.87 and the $60 range there. Brent, more or less the same picture. I think we will see it to the downside, but I need confirmation. I needed to take out the lows there at 62.55 and the RSI to get back below 40 threshold before I call it. But if it starts selling, then maybe that's the scenario that will play out. What I will do, I will add a horizontal line just to give me some guidance. Say, okay, if it takes that out, then we're looking at 60 and possibly lower. The Euro nat gas, well, still dancing sideways here. It's between the $38 and $33.80. That's the range it needs to break out of for direction. I believe it will be to the downside because with negative sentiment, there's no divergence indicating lower levels, and all moving averages are declining. The US nat gas, well, it's still the range between 384 and 310. Yields, we saw US 10-year Treasury yields spike down to the 61.8 retracement here at 431. Actually hit 432, just a fraction above it. It's and then bounce, and I think it could continue bouncing here in the next few days. What I will do, if it does that, then I will add a Fibonacci to that also to give me some guidance and say, okay, 38.2 is actually here at the other 38.2, and we could bounce up to the 61.8 at 450. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then, well, we could see a sell or drop down to the 786 at 423. The 2-year, well, really much not action going on there, still above the 38.2 retracement. On the European side, on the other hand, there has been a lot of action yesterday. It spiked lower below 249, and then it bounced strongly. If it moves back above 260, well, then possibly could see a 271 testing again. However, if it takes out the lows from yesterday at 247, then it will most likely be testing the 243 support here. The UK, well, spiked lower yesterday, just below the 61.8 retracement here at 456, and then bounced. So let's see if it takes out the lows from yesterday, then we will be looking at 450. Otherwise, we can also see a bit of a bounce there to 470 possibly. And finally, Bitcoin that got beaten yesterday. Maybe it has something to do with the Musk versus Trump fight going on. The Bitcoin tested the support here at 100,700, and then bounced a little bit. And if it can get back above 106,900, then uptrend could resume. But we are in a correction phase here, maybe forming a little bit of a top and reversal pattern in the form of a irregular head and shoulders. Ethereum also hit, but still above the 2,332. So still holding on a little bit. Let's see here the next few days. What will it take it out and push lower, or will it bounce? We need RSI back above 60 threshold, back above the falling trend line there to indicate higher levels, and that could occur even before it takes out 2,800 resistance area here. So let's see. But in the overall picture, it's basically just sideways. All right, that's all for today and this week. Have a nice day and good weekend when you get to there.